Have you ever wondered if the advice that you're receiving about selling on eBay is actually wrong? Well, I believe that a lot of it is, and I think it's really holding you back. And in fact, I know that it is because in 2024, I chose to adopt a brand new selling strategy and I ignored all of the advice that I'd been hearing over the years. And the findings from these results of this new strategy was I was able to improve my profit of my eBay business, but I was able to get that same result in half the amount of time spent working on it. So it was really, really efficient. And the next thing I thought was, let's create a 12-week program and put brand new sellers through the process to see if they can get the same results. And you wouldn't believe it, they did. So this gave me a lot of confidence and it gives me a lot of excitement to go ahead and give you this strategy in this video today. Now, cohort 2 of this program is getting underway on July 13. So if you are interested in starting your eBay business from scratch, I'm going to leave that for you linked in the description below. But this video is really going to unpack everything from a strategy perspective, how to go from 0 sales to 100 sales in the most efficient way possible. Not only in this video do I want to show you exactly what to do, but I want to also show you what not to do. And by doing that, I'm going to save you a lot of time and a lot of money. Now you're probably wondering, is this right for me? And it will be right for you if you're a dedicated, motivated, highly driven personality type. If you can get off the ground and push on to a goal that you've set for yourself, you're going to go a long way to being successful in building an eBay business. You're also going to need to have some money. That's the other thing. You can't start an eBay business without some upfront cash. Obviously, the sales that you eventuate from then can be your profit, and that profit can be reinvested back into the business. Life gets easier, but in those first early days, you are going to need some upfront cash. And thirdly, time. Time is going to be the biggest aspect. You're going to need to be able to have that determination to commit to the goal, but you're also going to need to have time within your week. So as long as you've got some spare hours here or there throughout the week to devote towards an eBay business, those 3 elements of time, money, and dedication is really all you need to start selling on eBay and have great success with it. Now, we currently have a group of sellers that are in their 12-week program. They're actually on week 11, and 3 of them have already become top-rated eBay sellers, achieving their 100 sales within just a couple of weeks of launching their eBay business. What they will all collectively say is that they have been able to learn what not to do, right? There's so many products that could have been bought, so much time that could have been listed on poor quality product that was never going to convert. But what they've been able to learn is the strategies around what is to be purchased and listed up and sold and what isn't. Now, we had Renee. Renee has gone ahead and won this challenge by a country mile. She's done almost $30,000 in revenue in the space of 10 or 11 weeks, and she sold over 500 items. She's 5x'd the goal that we're trying to hit of our first 100 sales. Now, if you missed that video, I'm going to link it for you in the description below. But Renee is a great case example of just what is possible when we commit to starting an eBay business. So with all of that in mind, what is the strategy that's going to allow us to go from 0 to 100 sales in the most efficient way possible? Well, it's not going to be limited by product selection. You can sell absolutely any product you like on eBay. As long as the metrics determine that it's a great quality product, you can absolutely build an eBay business around it. So I'm not going to limit you to selling any type of category. I'm also not going to limit you as well to having to list up a certain number of items every single day. You don't need to list 5, 10, 15, 20 items a day and be on the hamster wheel of being an eBay seller. It's just not required, and I'm not going to make you do it. And thirdly as well, I'm not going to make you do free postage. If you want to do charge postage, that's totally fine. No postage policy is better than any other. You can totally choose which one you want to do. So what I'm ultimately going to do here, guys, is the strategy is going to be about doing less. I want you to do less to make more money. And the best way that I can describe this for you is I'm going to send you out to a shopping mall as an example. Now, in the shopping mall, you have a table and chairs and you're going to sit down and you're going to have to try and sell a product. I'm going to give you 2 options as to what that product is going to be. The first product is going to be a $100 product, and you only have to sell it once to get $100 in cash. Also, the product is in complete demand. Everybody wants it. It's a really, really hot product. Now, once you've sold that product, you can get out of there. You don't need the embarrassment of selling at a shopping mall anymore. The second option, though, that I've got for you that you might want to take is there are $10 products. It's still going to give you $100 cash and it's going to allow you to get out of the shopping mall. But unfortunately, this product is not in demand. It's a tougher item to sell. What would you like to do? 10 $10 sales? Or would you like to do one in-demand $100 sale? Hopefully, you are all thinking and saying that you want to be selling the $100 item. Reason being is you only have to sell one of them to get that $100 in cash, and you also save yourself all of that time in waiting around for 10 items to go on to sell. You can sell one and get out of there ASAP. Now, that story is the same for a beginner eBay seller just starting out their journey. They need to be adopting the same mindset, but unfortunately, we're programmed with the advice that we're being given to do the opposite of that. We're told to go out to our local thrift store and try and buy items for a very, very cheap price. We might find an item like a plush toy for $2. And then because it's only $2, we think to ourselves, that's absolutely going to be profitable. I'm going to go ahead and buy it. And then we bring it home. We may or may not do some research on the item that we've bought with this plush toy. And we realize that it might be worth about $20. So we go ahead and take some photos and we list up that $20 item. And then we do that based on the strategy that's being told to us. And we do it 10 times, 15 times, 20 times every single day. And what we come to find over time is that we've got a lot of really poor quality products that aren't converting, and we're slowly incrementally increasing our cost of good with that $2 purchase 100, 200, 1,000, 2,000 times over, and we're suddenly left with a large amount of stock that is sitting here never going to sell. We cause ourselves to go into a hole, and then we end up choosing to quit eBay because nothing seems to go on to sell, and eBay is the problem. All the while, we were just adopting the worst possible strategy we could. And I did that. I did that for a really, really long time. And with this new strategy, I don't want to do any of that with you guys. I want to teach you that quality product is the only thing that matters when it comes to selling on eBay. And I also want to show you exactly how to go ahead and list that product up to get it to go on to sell, produce profit for you to be able to go again and buy the next quality product. Okay, so step one of my blueprint. Now, guys, this one doesn't even have to do with eBay at all. This is, for me, this was one of the biggest things that I adopted right at the beginning when I first started selling on eBay in 2020. And I didn't realize it was going to produce the amount of success it did for me, or at least allow me to persist and persevere. But I told myself that I wasn't going to do anything for 3 years. I was just going to commit myself to eBay, 100% focus. I knew that I was going to have to sit down and learn, I was going to have to make mistakes, and I was also going to have to take action. And I said to myself, I was just going to do it and really not care what the results were for 3 years. I said 2023 was the time that I'd reflect on what I'd learnt. And I reckon after 3 years, hopefully I was going to be in a position. And I proved to be the case, because that long tail time frame of 3 years really took the pressure off. I was able to kick back and make as many mistakes and learn along the way and fumble my way through the process. And I really didn't have a care in the world because I'd allowed myself that runway to have success eventually. And I think you guys need to be doing that. You need to not look at it in days and weeks and think to yourself, it's not happening for me right now. You need to adopt the mindset that I am going into this for the first 12 weeks, but then I'm also going to go into it for the next 1 to 2 years. And I'm just going to allow myself to sit back and just learn. The other thing as well is at that time, it was COVID. I was actually living with my parents at the time, and I decided to commit to eBay. And it was a big thing for me because I told them what I wanted to do. And I got a lot of, not so much backlash, but I got a lot of protection from them as parents. They didn't want me necessarily going down a path that could potentially fail and not work. It was very much thought that it wouldn't work. And they were just trying to be really cautious with me and give me that protection. But I knew in my head that I was so gung-ho about it. I had a 3-year runway for myself, and I was going to commit 100% towards the goal. So I really do think that it's best sometimes to not tell your closest friends and family what you're up to. Just get stuck into it, put your head down and really work hard, and then let the results of what you achieve be the conversation that gets going with friends and family once you're a little bit further down the line, because you can often get these friends and family in their best way just trying to talk you out of what you're trying to do. And you don't want to be talked out of it, you want to be motivated by what you're thinking. And I think the best way to do that is to keep it to yourself and adopt that correct mindset to begin with. It's gonna really, really help you get started with your journey. Now, step number 2 of the strategy is the power of the whiteboard. It's goal setting. It's setting yourself up with exactly where you're trying to go. If you're not in any form of direction around what you're trying to attack, it's going to be very hard for you to get to that destination. So there's going to be some goals that I'm going to give to you as to the goals that you're going to be putting on your whiteboard and attacking when you get started with your eBay journey. Now, it's pretty straightforward. To be a top-rated eBay seller, you need 100 sales and you need to do $3,000 in revenue within a 12-month window. That's the determination on eBay's standpoint. Now, I believe that 12 months can very quickly become 12 weeks if we do the right steps that we're about to be talking about in this video. So that's your goal. 100 sales, $3,000, and I'm going to throw an extra goal in there for you to get there even quicker. And I'm going to say that I want you to average a $50 sale price on the items that you have go on to sell. Now, there's a power in writing that out. If you just have it in your mind and you're just thinking about it every day, it's not as effective and it doesn't necessarily come into fruition as much as opposed to going ahead and writing it out on a whiteboard and looking at it every single day and working towards it. Even breaking down that 12-week goal into weekly and daily numbers that you need to be kind of attending towards to achieve the overall picture. But I don't think you can get this top-rated seller status and this start to your eBay business without any form of projection and any form of goal setting. And they are the numbers that you need to be working towards. Now, my third point is around time allocation, trying to fit this new lifestyle of being an eBay seller into what is already a busy 9-to-5 lifestyle that you might be doing on a work front. You've obviously got a lot of social commitments. You want to continue to hang out with friends and family. How do we add this eBay workload into our life? Well, firstly, I don't believe this eBay workload is anything more than 1 to 2 hours per day. With the strategy that we've got in place, there shouldn't be any more than 60 minutes to 120 minutes worth of commitment that you're going to need to find for yourself. Now, a big way to speed up time and get off the hamster wheel of listing up a certain number of items every single day is to use your draft bank. You really want to use this draft bank of basically pending listings ready to go live, and just have them scheduled out for 1 to 2 weeks and have that up your sleeve. If you've got that up your sleeve, the job of listing up an item on that particular day becomes a click of a button to just literally put it live. So I'd be almost using a day in your week, a commitment of maybe 3 or 4 hours over a weekend, to sit down and just have a look at your eBay listings and just draft up all of your products on one day. You might be able to get an entire week's worth of listings done in one listing session. This is obviously going to save you a lot of time throughout the week, because you won't need to be listing up items. You can spend that time on going out and sourcing more items if you need to, and then obviously paying attention to the shipping when you start to get some sales come in. Your days can be focused each day around just sending off the items that have gone on to sell. The next thing you're gonna have to do is this listing and this sourcing and this shipping side of it. Where is it going to work within your day? Are you a morning person where before you go to your 9-to-5 job, you could go ahead and do your listing in that window? Or maybe you do the shipping in that window each and every day before you set off to go to work. And then maybe at 5 o'clock when you finish work, you drop it off at the post office on your way home. That could be one approach. Maybe you look at your lifestyle and you think, look, I do just sit in front of the TV for 2 hours at night time between 8 to 10 p.m. Maybe I could swap that time out to be my eBay window on a daily basis. And if you were to commit those 2 hours to eBay every single day for the next 12 weeks, you would 100% see some pretty crazy results. So time allocation is crucial. You need to have a bit of a game plan with your goals, but you also need to have a bit of a game plan with your routine and setting it out and knowing when you're going to attribute time for the growth of your eBay business. Now for step number 4, you're going to have to find your product. And like I said before, there's no limitation to what product you find, but there are going to be determinants around what is a good quality product that is going to set you apart from all of the other eBay sellers trying to sell product. Now, there is an interesting stat here. There are 50,000 eBay seller accounts in Australia right now. So if you're starting your eBay journey for the very first time, you are going to be one of those 50,000 sellers that are out there that you're competing with. Now, I want to turn this into a flea market. I want to picture you being a vendor booth. This one seller account is actually a vendor booth at a flea market that is the biggest in the world. There are 50,000 flea market vendor booths that you are competing with. That's ultimately what is happening when we look at eBay. Now, at this flea market, they've positioned you in the worst possible section of the flea market. There's no foot traffic coming by. You're not near any cafes or restaurants for people to just naturally see your stall. You've got to fight tooth and nail to get somebody to even come across your stall. And you're competing with guys that have been selling at this flea market for 20 years. All these customers that absolutely love them as vendors are just coming up to their vendor booths without thought. And here you are as a brand new seller, just one of 50,000 that has no built reputation. You've got nothing for any reason why someone would come up to you. How the hell are you going to get started? Because that's the experience of an eBay seller that's launching their account and launching their store for the very first time. It's really hard to get traction. So how do we do it? Well, it's product. Product is really the only thing that matters, and I've already said that in this video because it is 100% true. It's the only thing that's going to get people coming by the foot traffic to click on your listing, see your product, and want to buy it. So how do we determine what is a good product? Well, we can use the eBay app. eBay has an app where you can go ahead and search up the product that you've got in your hand and you can see whether or not it goes on to sell well on eBay. There's two metrics that you want to look for. One is a really nice, healthy average sale price. You would like to see that your product is selling for over $50. If you're averaging a store value of $50, that's fantastic. I wouldn't be listing up anything worth $20 or less. I would start with a $20 product and I would work your way up into the hundreds, but averaging out around about a $50 product. The next thing is sell-through rate. So on eBay with the app, you can actually toggle to see the solds and you can see that data, but you can also toggle off solds and you can see what items are actively listed that match your product. And then you can determine how many have sold, how many are actively listed, and what that is sell-through rate. You can determine that it's a really fast-selling product and it sells for a really good sale price. The next thing is going to be what you can purchase it for. So are you able to buy this $50 product for $10? If the product is available to you for $20 or $30, you might realize that that product is not a profitable purchase. It ticks off all of the metrics on eBay: fast sell-through rate, really good average sale price, but you've got to be buying it at a price point. That's the third element to make sure that it's profitable. But if you can start to adopt this mindset with your sourcing when you're out in your local thrift stores, garage sales, flea markets, even the items that you've got lying around the house, and understand that quality product is really the only thing that matters when it comes to selling on eBay, you at the flea market are going to start to get a lot of people flocking over to your flea market stall because you've got great product. So let's take this back to the flea market for a second. We've got now a few people coming around our stall. They're checking out our items because they are great product. Maybe some of them are even picking up the item and having a really good look at it. But for some reason, they're putting it back on the table and they're walking away. It's usually 9 times out of 10 the price point that we're trying to sell the item for that's often holding us back as sellers. So in this scenario, we want to make ourselves really attractive from a pricing sense, and we need to be doing thorough research on the discrepant price points that this item can go on to sell for. So with doing that, you can actually do a filtered search on your eBay app, and it will do it from highest price to lowest price. And then you might get a range. Let's, for example, say a product selling between $60 to $100. In the example that we're in right now, where we're a beginner eBay seller just starting out our journey, 50,000 other vendor booths out there that are all trying to get sales as well, we need to have some form of competitive advantage. And we might have the great product, but we're missing out on having a great price for our product, and that's causing a bottleneck in us getting a sale. So we're going to price it in the bottom 25%. Now, in this example of $60 to $70, we'd be pricing up our item for around about a $70 asking price, and that would remain in the history of sales at a competitive price because we're down in that bottom 25%. So that's definitely the adopted mindset that you need to have. Don't undercut the market and list it up for $50 and create a new low. That won't benefit you when you're an experienced seller down the line, creating new lows on products. But setting it up in that first bottom 25%, that's going to go a long way with combined great product for you to get some really fast sales. Step number 6 in the strategy is really all about research. It's putting in the hard yards day in, day out to constantly evolve our knowledge base. At the end of the day, my knowledge after 5 years of selling on eBay has only come down to me stacking up days and days upon scanning up thousands of product to work out what is actually best to sell. And, friends and family are amazed when I go out to a local thrift store with them and I'm just suddenly picking from the shelf, or I'm at the flea market just grabbing, and I don't even have to do any comp research anymore because I've looked at these items 1,000 times over and I just know how much they go on to sell for. I know what product not to buy because I know that I've done the research and it told me that they didn't have a strong sell-through rate and the average sale price on the product wasn't strong either. But then over time I start to develop awareness of what is a great product, and then I can naturally come across and see it again and again and again, and then go ahead and make my purchase. So really what I want you guys to be doing in your first early stages of being an eBay seller, and really it kind of never stops. You're always just adding to your catalog of knowledge, but you really want to be doing a ton of research. So pulling your phone out when you're in flea markets, garage sales, thrift stores, wherever you may be, or even sitting at home and critiquing something on Facebook Marketplace, I want you to be searching into the eBay app what that product is, find a direct match, check it for sell-through rate, check it for average sale price, and see whether or not you can make a purchase to make a profit on the item. If you can do that every single day to a few items and then build that up over the years, you're going to have a catalog up here that is going to beat anybody else going out in their early days. So it's a crucial step, guys. You must be researching. It's the only way you're going to have success. Now, for step 7, I'm going to combine two elements of an eBay listing, your titles and your photos. Now, I would arguably say that it is much easier for you to go out and sell a product at the flea market, because if you think about it, you've got a big vendor booth table in front of you. You can spread all of your products out and people are just readily seeing that item at a click of a, well, not click of a because you're not on eBay, but just at a drop of a hat. They're just seeing your items laid out. When it comes to eBay though, you need to be really good at SEO, search engine optimization, and you just need to have very appealing photos. So this is why I'm putting these two together. Title and photos. We've just got to get this aspect right. Product, price, title, photos. If you can nail those 4 things when it comes to an eBay listing, you're going to sell product every single day of the week. So let's break it down. Title. If we have a quick chat about title, I can tell you right now that you need to be front-ending the most important keyword information. And what do I mean by front-ending? I mean thinking like a buyer. If I'm a buyer looking to list up and find the item that I'm personally listing up for you guys to purchase, what I'm trying to think of is what are you thinking and typing into the search bar yourself? And I'm trying to match that as the seller. So if I've got a Pokemon game on Nintendo DS, it might be Pokemon, I don't know, Yellow on the Game Boy Color. That is literally how I'm going to build my title. Pokemon Yellow, Game Boy Color, and then I can say whatever I want to finish the characters off, but I've front-ended the most important keyword information. I'm not using emojis, I'm not saying very good condition or the color of the item or using the word vintage, nothing like that. All I'm doing is what is the customer going to type in, and that's what I'm choosing to type in for my title. If you can be using 60 out of 80 characters that eBay gives you for a title, that's fantastic. Make sure you're trying to get up towards 60 and filling it up with as many keywords as you possibly can. But what that will do is it will just move you further up the search bar because it'll be more of a direct match than another competitor that might not have as great of a title structure. So really, really important to dial it in for every single one of your items. When it comes to photos, the biggest tip I can give you is 1:1 aspect ratio for your camera settings. Whether you're selling and taking photos on Android or Apple, there is a functionality in your phone settings to change it to a 1:1. What that does is it creates a square-shaped photo, and that is native to the eBay platform. The second you do a 4:3 aspect ratio, that is a rectangle, and it creates really nasty grey panels on your listings, and it actually makes your product much smaller and zoomed out. You really want to be zooming in on your product using the full square that you've got available to you. Filling up the real estate is the term that I like to use. And that way your cover photo is going to be really bright and vibrant and in the face of a buyer that is ready to click on your item. So a great set of photos, you need a minimum of 6 when it comes to selling on eBay. Anything more than 6 is fantastic, but don't go under 6. And you really want to be making sure you're capturing every single part of the product that you're trying to sell, and then highlighting any blemishes that you're going to be spotting along the way, because we are selling predominantly pre-owned items a lot of the time as eBay sellers. So highlighting the blemishes for any added photos and capturing every single part of the product. That way, the buyer is going to know exactly what they're getting their hands on, and you won't run into any troubles, obviously, when it goes on to sell. Now, I'm obviously brushing over these points, title and photos. We go into a hell of a lot more detail when it comes to the actual cohort and the program of the 12-week challenge. And like I said, July 13 is when that gets underway for applications. Link is in the description for it. But these are some elements that you're really going to have to focus on and get right, and it's part of what we teach in the program. All right, step number 8. This is something that has always perplexed me back when I very first started. So I'm very mindful that shipping and handling is going to be a daunting prospect for any new seller. So therefore, I spend a lot of time on working on making sure we get the communication around this correct. So the first thing that you want to do is, if you're in Australia, you're going to be using the Australia Post My Post business plan. This is a fantastic way to integrate your eBay store to Australia Post and then just seamlessly go ahead and finalize the orders that have come through from eBay by having it all merge across to Australia Post. There are some band discounts that you'll then be able to benefit from. If you can get yourself up to a band 5 discount, there are quite considerable savings on the number of items that you have go on to sell. I believe a level 5 band discount, well, firstly, it's the greatest discount you can get, and I'm pretty sure it's around 200 sales per month that allows you to stay at a band 5 level. I've been on a band 5 level for the last 3 to 4 years, I think now, selling on eBay, and it's given me thousands of dollars worth of saving. So you've really got to think when you've got the item, how do I get this to the customer in the most efficient way, but also the most safest way possible, because getting an item arrived to the buyer in poor, damaged condition is going to be an instant refund. You're going to lose money on the whole situation, and it won't be a pleasant experience. So what I like to use is bubble wrap, butcher's paper, and then I either put it into a box or I put it into some form of a satchel or envelope. If I'm needing additional protection, I'm always using the bubble wrap, the butcher's paper, and the box method. But if it's small enough and it's not going to break, I can put it into a satchel or I can put it into an envelope, depending on the size. So that are really the three main elements of me shipping off an item. It's not as scary as you think, but what is, I guess, relatively daunting when you're first starting out is understanding how much you're actually going to have to pay in postage when an item goes on to sell. So my biggest tip of advice here for postage is, one, you're going to need to know your numbers because it's so crucial when it comes to determining your profit. So I would go ahead and go to your local postage service, no matter where you are in the world. Every single postage service is going to have their price guide, and I would download, print out, and put a copy on your listing table on what the certain items are going to cost, depending on the dimensions and the weight of the item. Now, around Australia and around the world, it's all going to be very, very different, but go to your local provider and download that and have that sitting there so you can at least determine what approximately is going to cost. But then ultimately it's just going to be trial and error of experiencing the situation of going through postage, knowing what an item was actually shipped off for when you come to the point of actually shipping it off. And those learnings along the way will just get you naturally better at the process of shipping your items for the correct price. And another thing I really encourage you guys to do is international shipping. This is something that makes up about 10% of my sales, and it really just opens up your customer base to be able to speak to way more people and ultimately get more sales, which is the aim of the game when we're trying to get to our first 100. It's no different to domestic postage. You do just need to work out the varying different dimensions and weights and what those approximate price points are. But to actually go ahead and ship it up, or at least schedule it up onto eBay as a listing, isn't as daunting as you think. So my encouragement is that you at least just give it a go. And like I said at the start of the video, just make mistakes and know you've got a long runway to work all this out. And you'll find that you'll actually start to have it click in no time. Now for step number 9, I'm calling it store maintenance. And this is a conversation that I've had with the guys in the group for, well, a few weeks now. After about 4 weeks, your items lapse over 30 days and eBay's just going to automatically renew your listing for you. They're not going to say anything. They're not going to tell you how long the listing was originally listed for. They're just going to go ahead and give it another 30-day cycle. The issue with this though, is that once it rolls over its 30 days, eBay just spends less time trying to get the item to go on to sell for you. They're not going to promote it as much, and it's just going to fall lower and lower and lower down the search rankings, no matter how good your title was that you originally built. So there's a bit of store maintenance that we like to do as sellers here, which is ultimately going to be giving your item a new item number. And then from there, it's going to generate a new fresh listing. It's going to have a new ID. And in the eyes of eBay, it's going to look like it's been on day 1 again. So what I like to do with sellers is after 30 days of selling on eBay, we go in and we end our listings with a price change. So we move a $20 price point down to $19 and we end the listing. And then we click a button that says sell similar. And what that sell similar does is it just duplicates the listing and it puts it live again, straight back onto eBay in a matter of seconds. That whole process has now given you a new item number for the listing, and it's given you a fresh 30 days to try and get your item to go on to sell. So this is a really crucial optimization tactic that a lot of sellers actually neglect. They don't realize because eBay doesn't give the data that you can go ahead and do this and actually have fresh listings 100% of the time. I've done this with my store. I've neglected it for years, and I've had listings that have been over 1,000 days listed because they have just rolled over on 30-day increments. And basically with 1,000 days worth of listing time, that listing is never going to be found again and never going to go on to sell until I do something about it. So the end and sell similar approach, it's a crucial tactic to allow all of your listings to be fresh. And for step number 10 of the strategy, there's a real 3-pronged approach to this. It's just practice, learn, and adapt. And what I mean by that is practice going out and sourcing as many different range of items as you possibly can, and then take it home and learn from that. What did it cost to ship off? And how did I feel about listing that item up? And then what was the shipping process like putting it into a box? Was it awkward? Was it weird? Was it easy to do? Whatever the case may be, you're going to learn a lot from just simply taking action through practice, and then adapt to that. Based on that experience, will you go out and you buy that item again? Or are the listings that aren't selling on eBay an item that you're going to go out and try to find again? Probably not. The more that you practice, learn, and adapt, the more you're going to be able to put all of this information up into your head to know how to better your situation next time around. And this is why eBay is a bit of an everyday thing. We're going to have to contribute 1 to 2 hours a day to make this work. But if you're learning, you're adapting to what you're learning, you're going to always basically be leveling up your eBay experience and getting to that top rated seller status a whole lot faster than basically going days and weeks of inactivity. You always want to be chipping away, you always want your finger on the pulse, and that's the three-pronged attack to be able to make sure that that continues to develop over time. So like I said, guys, Renee's video was a very, very powerful video. The 12-week challenge, it's not far away from kicking off, so hopefully you can be a part of it for the next one we do. But I will leave you with Renee's video in case you missed that. That one's going to be right here for you. Hopefully I'll see you over there.